Now we want to get started with little more Java functionality because we want to get introduced to Java. First function of Java we have already seen. Okay, thanks Armin. It seems Armin figured out the problem in his project and that is solved for him. Fine. So input output functions we are talking about. So in yesterday's small examples of programming we saw, like in any language when we are getting started, we should know the input output functions. How do we take input from the user and how do we produce output to the user? So two functions we have seen right now in our code that we had written. The first function was system.out.print and second function was system.out.println, and we also understand the difference between these two. So this prints a message and puts a new line in the end. First function, it prints the message and it does not put any new line in the end. So there is a third variant also available in system.out, and that variant is system.out.printf. So people who are aware with C syntax, they would know how printf works. So this is used to produce formatted output. We will see in a short while with an example where we will use printf, and that gives us a neat syntax in certain specific situations. So these are the three functions which are typically used to show output to the user. So this solves the first problem of showing the output to the user. Now we are interested in seeing how do we take user input in our program. So that is something that we are not going to use in our Selenium related tests, but still it makes more sense to cover that aspect because that will give you some scope of getting acquainted with Java and you can write your own program. And this function is going to be useful for us when we are doing some exercises of getting started with Java. And this is more important for people who are going to code in Java for the first time. So that's the reason I'm covering the input function also. So the way to use input function is we use a scanner class. So Java has a class named scanner which helps us read the user input. So we will see an example of scanner and system.out.printf using an example. So there is a small exercise that I have designed so that we can understand these concepts better. So here we are saying write a Java program that asks the user to type in his name and age and monthly salary in lakhs. So user will enter these three inputs to us, and then we want to output the values entered in following format. So whatever user has entered, input user has given, we want to show him an output in this way. So if user enters the name Salman Khan, then we will print name space colon space the name, age space colon space the age of the person in years, then annual salary. Here we can see user has given us monthly salary and we are printing the annual salary. That means there is some multiplication involved. We'll multiply the monthly salary with 12 and we will output to the user. So this is an exercise we will do and we'll see how to do input and output in Java. So let's move back to Eclipse. Now this is one project that we have created. I can keep on adding any number of classes to it. And in Eclipse it's possible, in Java in fact it is possible to have main function added to any number of classes in one project. So right now I'm going to create a new class and let's add that class to test package. So I can right click the package name and I can say new class. If I do that, the package name will be automatically filled based on which package I right clicked to create a class. If I would have done this right click on first package and I say right click and say new and class, here we can see the package name that is given is Java Fundamentals. If I go back to source and I right click and say new class, then we will find the package name is blank. That means it is asking us to add a package name because we have clicked the source folder. So typically we will use the best practice that whichever package we want to add our class to, we'll right click that and we'll say new and we are going to add a class. So this exercise that we are doing is input output. So I say input output, and let me also add a public static void main to it so that we don't have to type that code. And we can see a new class is created in that main function is added. Now next thing we want to do, we want to ask user to type in these three pieces of information, name, age and monthly salary. Now based on yesterday's class, if people remember, any problem statement that is given to us, we define the user input in terms of variable in our program. So name is also going to be a variable, age is a variable, and monthly salary is a variable. And each variable is going to be of certain data type. So can anyone tell what is going to be the data type of name? Typically Java has certain data types that we are going to cover.
String.
Yeah. So name is going to be string. Yeah, Miguel. Next, age.
Double.
Age is
or integer.
Yeah, it makes more sense to have it integer in case we are going with number of years. But yeah, in case we are going to put age in terms of year dot months, then it makes sense to go with double. So here, for simple reason, we are going with int so that we can have one data type covered. So age will be int. Then annual salary.
Double.
Yeah, that we can go with double or float. There are two data types that we will cover in next slide. So float or double, anything we can go with. So let's come back and define three variables in our main. We represent string name, int age, and we say, let's take it double for now, double salary, or we call it monthly salary. So we have declared three variables. Each variable we have written a data type of that variable, and after the variable we have put a semicolon in the end. And these are the variables that we are going to use or read from the user. So next thing that we are going to do is we are going to ask user to enter these values. So we say enter name, comma age, comma monthly salary in lakhs. So this message will be shown to the user. This will be an indication to the user that we are asking for some input from you. Now since we talked about for reading input from the user, we are going to use a scanner class. So in Java, whenever we use classes, yesterday we saw a case study, an example where we were talking about if ToolsQA is buying a car from a Honda City dealer, from a Honda dealer in Hyderabad. So we saw that we were creating objects of different classes and then objects were dealing with each other. So here since we are going to use a scanner class, so we need to create an object of the class. So class acts as a data type, like here int is a data type, age is a variable. So we are going to say scanner is a data type, let's say sc is the variable name, and whenever we create objects of the class, we have to use a new keyword along with the class name. So new scanner, and this piece is called constructor of the class. So don't worry if the terminology is new to some people who are getting started with Java, because we are going to talk about these concepts in detail when we talk about object-oriented programming especially. So right now it's good enough to understand that class is a data type, variable is a variable of the data type, and right side we are going to create objects using new keyword and the class name. Now some of the classes will need a parameter from us in order to create the object. So scanner is a class which needs a parameter which is system.in. It's an input stream because it has to read from somewhere. So system.in is being passed to scanner here. So we are seeing error here because Eclipse has one more advanced feature. What it does, as we keep on typing our code, Eclipse keeps on compiling our code and it shows all the errors to us immediately. So at the bottom there is a view called problems. If we go there, we can see there are two errors it is showing, and it says scanner cannot be resolved to a type. And reason behind that is we are using a class which is defined in some package in Java, and we have not added any indication for Java compiler that this class is being used from some package. So in order to do that, we will be using a statement called import java.util. So java.util is a package which has this scanner class defined. So I did control space to autocomplete it. So we have told to compiler that we are importing this class into our code and we are going to use the objects of this class. So this syntax is something that we are going to follow. Whenever we are going to use classes from some package, So we are going to put an import statement on top. That's when we can use the class easily. So now we have a scanner class with us. Now we will see how to use scanner class to read name, age and monthly salary. So now since we want to read name, so scanner gives us a function sc. Sc is an object. Now class has data members and functions in it. So since sc is an object of the class, let's see what are the methods it provides. So as I type dot, it is showing list of all the methods and data members of this class. Now since first thing we are going to read is name of the user, so there is a method in scanner which says next line. So this is the function name or method name or operation name that is part of the object, and after double colon, after this colon we can see there is a string written, which means if we call this function, it is going to return a string back to us. So we are going to take that string back and store into our name variable. So if I call sc.nextLine, it will return us a string and we assign that to name variable. Now second thing we are going to read is age, which we know is an integer. So sc provides us a function called nextInt, and that is the function we are going to use. Then monthly salary is a double, so we are going to say sc.nextDouble, and that will give the monthly salary. So this way we get user input and we assign that to our local variables. Now we have half the problem solved, because first part of the problem said ask user to type in these 3 pieces of information, and then we have to worry about how to output it. So input piece is done. Now we are going to take a look at output piece. So output function that we already know, we have a function called system.out.println, using which we can say name colon space plus name. So this way, if we put our variable name, what it is going to do, it is going to concatenate 2 strings. So there is a first string and the value of this string will be appended to it and it will be produced as an output, and also it is going to put a new line in the end. So whatever we print next, it is going to be printed in the next line. That is what exactly is our requirement. So name should be printed in the first line, then there should be a new line and we should print the second value. So we come to the next line, and this time I am going to use another function, system.out.printf. So printf is a function which is used to print formatted output. So I can say age space, here I can do a %d. %d is called a format specifier, which means here integer value is going to be going to replace this %d, and that we can specify with a comma, and we can say age. Now what essentially this means is it will print this message onto the output, but wherever it finds %d, it will look for a variable name after the string, and the value of that variable will replace the %d. Same way, if we were to print 2 variables, then we could have given 2%d and we could have given a second variable name here. So this is the second syntax to be aware of. Now third thing that we are going to print is the double, his monthly salary. Another important point here to understand is it is not necessary to put plus symbol only with string. Plus symbol also works with string and any other data type. So we are going to try that with monthly salary. So we are going to use system.out. So let me type sysout and control space, and now we say annual salary. So annual salary, then we say colon and we do a plus here. Now since we don't want to print monthly salary, we want to print his annual salary, so we will do a multiplication of monthly salary with 12, and that is what will be printed. I have put that into double quotes, in the brackets, so that the product is evaluated first and then we put that on the output screen. So these are the 3 things we are going to print, but right now it is not going to produce the expected output that is shown here. Can anyone point out what are we missing in these lines which makes me say that this is not going to give the desired output that we expect? Or everyone believes like we are going to get the output that we are expecting? Okay, so I'm going to point that out. Println is a function which is going to print a new line after it prints the message. Printf is a function which does not put a new line in the end. So what essentially printf will do, it will print age colon, it will show the age output, and after that new line will not be there. Since new line is not there, the next line of output is going to put annual salary into the same line. So the output that we are going to see will be two lines output where annual salary will be appended after the age. So that is the thing that is missing here. Now we want to specify somehow that this message should have a new line in the end. So the way to do that is to put a /n here. So this /n is a sequence that tells for any string we are printing, put a new line in the end. So now it is going to give us the desired output, and we can go ahead and run our program. Now we know the way to run our program is we right click, we go to run as, and we say run as Java application. Now we can see on the console it is waiting for user input. It says enter name, age, monthly salary. So we say tools QA as name, and we say age is, let's say 32, and then we say monthly salary, let's say 1.2, and we hit enter. Once all the three pieces of input is given to it, it prints out the name is this, age is 32, annual salary, it prints to some decimal points, because any decimal value or double value that we take, the default behavior of that is it will be printed to some decimal points, so that we can ignore for the time being, and we are not going to match the exact output here, because main interest of ours right now is to go over and understand the input output functions. Later on we will see how to do a formatted output only up to 2 decimal points. So those are the advanced features that we will see later. So this completes our coverage of input and output functions available in Java. So if you have any questions related to this piece of code, feel free to ask that now, or we will move to the next exercise. Okay, cool. So let's proceed further then.